All right, good morning, traders. It's April 16th, 2026. My name, Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for liking, following, and leaving kind comments and subscribing to my content. Appreciate that. Love that. Thank you so much. Special shout out, Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, Ed Carter, Rick Sadler, everybody that shares the BYOB content, helping get the good word out there to the World Wide Web. Appreciate that. Love that. Thank you. I love that. Thank you so much. All right. Let's take a look at the market today, see what we can do to see what's going on. Anyways, what happened yesterday? Oh, first, got an announcement, all right? Got e-learning today at noon, all right? So if you don't see me here in the room, I'll be over there in the combo room. If you want to know how to get to the combo room, you just come on up here, come on over to your hit and run login right here. Come down here to your member page. Instead of logging into here, you would log into the combined room. You can be logged into both rooms at the same time, all right? But I'm probably not going to be in the BYOB Trading Room. I'm going to be over here in the combo room from noon till 3, listening to the presentations as well as giving one of my own, all right? So the topic for that day is going to be trend momentum and volatility. All right, so they'll probably all get recorded. And if you're looking for those recordings, you'll find them in the e-learning replay. Under the resources tab, e-learning replay, there's 10 per page. There's 35 pages. There's 350 videos just in the e-learning section. All right, and then if you want more videos, you come down to public webinars. 10 per page, 20 pages. All right, another 200 videos there. All right, so that happens today at, starts at noon. All right, so if you don't see me, that's where I'm going to be. All right, let's start with my SPY pivot this morning, 696.35. Above it, I'm a bull. Bulls are having a nice run. SPY, QQQ made new all-time highs. All the Fab 5 made higher highs, higher lows, closing over bullish traps over their 17 EMAs. SPY closed, 2-hour uptrend, 10-minute uptrend. Gold made an inside day. It's a lower high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Silver, higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap over the 17. USO, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the flat 17. UNG, inside day, it's a lower high, higher low, closed under a bearish trap under the 17. No surprise there. US dollar index in a daily downtrend, closed near 98.04, SPY max pain, 696 with a put to call ratio, about 1.6 puts to each call that expires today at 4:15. Security options expire at 4. Index options expire at 4:15. If this is your first time seeing it, this is like a watch list, all right? So this is the bullish watch list. It's the bearish watch list, okay? These are all in bullish daily uptrends over the 17. These are all in bearish daily downtrends under the 17. Okay, if they got a little star next to it, they're building out a bull flag, or I call it a launch pad from which to launch higher. If they got a little dash, means they already broke out. So that one broke out yesterday. So these are all in daily downtrends. So they're building out a bear flag. I call it a platform from which to dive lower. All right, so bullish, bearish. All right, let's take a look at the SPY. We left off yesterday with 10-minute uptrend over VWAP right here. See 10-minute, you got daylight just a little bit. Daylight, all right, between the 3 and the 8 EMA. So we've got 10-minute uptrend coming into the close yesterday. 2-hour chart. We've got the sticks and the 3 plotting up over the 8. All three are rising. Actually, all four are rising. The candlesticks, the 3 EMA, the VWAP, the 8 EMA, and the 17 EMA. Everything is rising. 2-hour uptrend right there. You got daylight between the 3 and the 8. So we got ourselves 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. On the daily candle, let's take a look at that. Higher low, again, new all-time high for SPY. Doesn't get any better than that. All right, so right there, if it's making new all-time highs, it's going to be bullish and in an uptrend. Weekly chart, new all-time high here, so it's got to be bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart, ditto. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ, let's start on the 10-minute. You've got the stakes in the 3 plotting up over the rising 8. You've got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. Okay, so we got 10-minute uptrend. We're on 10-minute chart. 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. 2-hour chart. All right, again, we got the sticks and the 3 plotting up over the rising 8. All 4 are moving up, or actually all 5. You've got the candlesticks, the 3 EMA, the VWAP, the 8 EMA, and the 17 EMA. See everything rising. Okay, so 2-hour uptrend coming into the close on QQQ. On the daily candle, all right? New all-time high, so it's got to be bullish in an uptrend, all right? So bullish in an uptrend on QQQ daily, weekly, monthly. All right, so both SPY and QQQ bullish on all time frames. All right, and up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Again, my favorite trade, all right, is 10-minute uptrend inside that lives inside or resides inside of a 2-hour uptrend, that resides inside of a daily uptrend, that resides inside of a weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. You got all the bigger time frames supporting my 10-minute uptrend, okay? And I like that when it's all over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's my premium trade right there, okay? So that's what I like a lot, all right? So it's a good chance that's going to go higher when I see that happening, all right? So so there's QQQ. We'll come back and visit the game plans after. Let's go ahead around the horn here and look at the other 2 indexes as well as the FNGU. So let's take a look first on the daily chart, and let's start with IWM. So IWM, higher low, higher high, closing over right here. You can see a bullish trap over the hooking or the rising 17 EMA. Over this pink line, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP, clearly in the top of quadrant 4. All right, so that's bullish. All right, that's bullish. And you can see there's a high, and they're making higher highs and in an uptrend on IWM. Let's take a look at FNGU. Okay, FNGU, higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap, over the rising 17 EMA. Over the midpoint, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, not in the lower third, not in the upper third. Let's pan out here. This is the all-time low. That's the all-time high. We were in the bearish section, all right? And then now we're back into the neutral section. So we're neutral because we're not in the lower third. We're not in the upper third. And you can see there's a high there. We're making a higher high. And in an uptrend on FNGU, okay? Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow is a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap, closing over the rising 17 or hooking 17, all right? This is in the middle of quadrant 4. I'll pan way out so you can see it. This is the origin of the rally back here in April. We're in the middle of quadrant 4, so we're still bullish right here, but we have not made higher highs. Okay, so we gotta actually take out this high right there in order to be in an uptrend. We have to make a higher high. Okay, so that would be the first high to come to, and we have not done that yet. So Diamond Dow is in a dysfunctional downtrend because it's not moving down. It's actually melting up or moving to the right. Okay, so dysfunctional downtrend, but still bullish. We're up here in the middle of quadrant 4. All right, and they're melting up right now. So good sign for Diamond Dow. Now they may put in a lower high, come back and put in a higher low, and then rip up and take out that lower high. Okay, that's a possibility. They start the W program. We'll see what happens. Currently, bullish, dysfunctional downtrend. They are up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's where you want to be if you're in an uptrend or if you want to be a bull. So there's Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at precious metals. We'll start off with silver. Silver got a higher low and a higher high, closed over a bullish trap over flat 17 here, closed under the all-time high anchored VWAP. I actually think that, or feel that silver's going to run up there and tag that all-time high anchored VWAP. Whether they get on top of it and consolidate, that will be to be seen. All right, all right. We'll announce it when it happens, but be nice if it does happen. We'll see. All right, they failed here and they failed here. This might be the time. 3 times is a charm sometimes. So there's silver. We're in an uptrend. We're making higher highs. Okay, but we're not in the bullish territory. That would be in the upper third or the lower third. All right, so we're neutral and in an uptrend. I'm going to pan out so you can see the origin of silver before it made the new all-time high up here. So the origin of silver comes all the way back to 2022. That is the 3-year low anchored VWAP. This is the all-time high anchored VWAP. Again, if we could get up there and consolidate, that would be some really good news for silver. I could see that getting bullish again. So there's silver on the daily chart, neutral, uptrend. Let's take a look at gold. Gold's got an inside day. It's a lower high. It's a higher low. They closed over a bullish trap. They closed over flat 17. They closed under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Again, gold up here in the bottom of quadrant 4. So that's in the upper third. So that's going to be bullish. And you can see right here they've got a high and they're making higher highs. So they're in an uptrend on gold. All right, we'll pan out so you can see the origin of this all-time high here for gold. And it starts all the way back here in 22, just like silver. Okay, way back here in 2022. And you can see it slowly climb up to make that new all-time high here in gold. That's on the daily chart, all right? So we're still in quadrant 4, so we're bullish, all right? And we're in an uptrend because we have higher highs. Again, if they can get on top of that, excuse me, all-time high anchored VWAP, all right, that'll be really bullish if I could see that happen. We'll see. They were up here before, and it looks like they put in, looks like a head and shoulders crown up there, with this being the head, right shoulder, left shoulder, and made their way down to this low right here. So there's gold on the daily chart. Let's take a look at energy. So we'll start off with UNG, all right, which never seems to, never fails to disappoint us, all right. So here's UNG. Yesterday's candle, inside day, higher low, lower high, closed under the bearish trap, no surprise there. Closed under the falling 17, no surprise there. This is a 1-year high anchored VWAP. Okay, we are in the bottom of quadrant 1. By the way, this was a prior all-time low right there. Okay, so we're in the bottom of quadrant 1, so we're bearish. All right, and we can see we made a low here. And we're making lower lows, so we're bearish and in a downtrend. Of course, we're under that 1-year high anchored VWAP. Again, coming down here to test those lows one more time, maybe even lower. We'll see. If you want to know where the all-time high is for UNG, this is a really ugly chart. If you watch where the all-time high is. Yeah, way back here at 8,000, and we're down here at $9. Okay, you can see multiple splits along the way. All right, just to keep this thing alive. All right, so there's UNG on the daily chart. Again, bottom of quadrant 1. Okay, this is the 1-year high. Bottom of quadrant 1. That's bearish. And we're making lower lows and in a downtrend. Let's take a look at USO. Now, USO, quite the opposite of UNG. This, about a week and a half ago, that is the 10-year high right up there. That's a 10-year high, okay, for USO on the daily chart. Yesterday's candle, okay, again, that was about a week and a half ago. Lower high, lower low. Closed under a bearish trap. Closed under the rising 17. Closed in the bottom of quadrant 4. So that's still bullish. They have not made lower lows, so they're still in an uptrend. They're just not moving up at this time. So I guess you could call it dysfunctional at the time, but it's an uptrend, and they're bullish because they're up here in the bottom of quadrant 4. You can see they're over this. This is this pink line. This is a 3-year high anchored VWAP. Remember, that's a 10-year high right there. Okay, this is a 3-year high. Well, actually a 4-year high. So right here, this was the post-COVID high. All right, for USO post-COVID. Okay, that was that rally after COVID, and you can see right there. There's the high for that. And since then, they kind of struggled to stay on top. Actually, to get any higher than that high made from COVID right there. You can see they came up here once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 times right here, trying to get up, back up to those highs, to no avail. All right, so there's USO. That's bullish and in an uptrend right there on USO. Okay, that 10-year high, mainly due to geopolitical conflicts over there in the Middle East. All right, it's not. I wish it was organic, but it's not. It's mainly due to the geopolitical. So when that goes away, this, has a good chance to come tumbling down to the midpoint here. All right, so I don't know how close that is to going away, but as soon as issues get solved over there, this thing could drop hard. So be careful. All right, while you're in this. This is USO. All right, let's take a look at technicals. We'll start off with T2101. So yesterday we made new all-time highs, and you can see we lost a little bit of participation while we're making new all-time highs. Not really a good sign. I would have expected more participation as we made new all-time highs. Not quite the case here. And then again, this does measure all of the stocks in the NYSE. All right, and notice it was SPY and QQQ that made new all-time highs. Probably based a lot on the heavyweights, and that would be of probably quite a few products inside the FNGU. So understandably, probably people not trading the wide variety. They're probably looking at, the Mag 7 or the FNGU and looking probably concentrated on that. So I don't know whether to call that bearish or bullish. Either way, you're up here near the highs, so that looks good to me. I like it. I'm not going to call it bearish or bullish because don't really know what happened, but I got to tell you it's not bad news. All right, the fact that they concentrated on those Microsoft, Google's, Amazon's, all the big boys right there. T2101 15-minute chart. I'm going to take that as a bullish clue today. I think it said last night bearish clue. I'm going to take it as a bullish clue. They're up here in the prior highs, so I'm going to take it as a bullish clue. Let's take it as T2122. You can see we spent the day in the overbought zone. All right, we could see a pullback coming soon. We'll see. We do have some bearish divergence on the PPO on the 30-minute time frame. All right, so we'll see what happens. T2122, that's definitely a bullish clue. We're in the overbought zone. We spent some time up there, so we might rest today. We'll see. T2123, we're up over the hooking 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're a bull. This is a 15-minute chart. That is the all-time high. Slap some quad lines in there. And you can see we are no longer on the bearish side of the 50-yard line right there. So that's the pullback low. And that's the all-time high. And we're on the north side of the 50-yard line showing bullish control. That's a bullish clue. We're on the top side of the hooking 200. That's where you want to be if you're going to be a bull. And we were making, we got some highs, making higher highs, so we're in an uptrend. So right now, based on this, all right, this is neutral and in an uptrend. Now, if I come back to the lows and measure it, that would be bullish and in an uptrend. It all depends on your perspective, whether you want to include all of this or just the best parts, okay? Sometimes it's better to look at all of it to get a clearer picture of where you are, okay? So bullish gaps up. Look at these. Bullish gap up, not filled by the bears. Another bullish gap up, not filled by the bears. Another bullish gap up, not filled by the bears. Clearly showing us bullish control at this time. All right, it says T2123, 15-minute chart. I'm going to take this off of there. We're going to go to the 3-bar chart now. And here's our 3-bar chart. I'm going to pan way out. Okay, this is the origin of our rally back here in April. All right, with that rally, we ran up there and we made a new all-time high for the year of 2025. Had a pullback. All right, made a higher low. All right, and then ran up and made a new all-time high. All right, in the year of 2026. Pulled back, made a higher low. Here's the question. Are we going to get another higher high? Okay, 3-bar chart. We're up in the middle quadrant 4, so that's bullish. We're up over the rising 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're a bull. Okay, we're in a dysfunctional downtrend in that we're no longer moving down. We're actually melting up or moving over to the right. Okay, so you can see here's a low, there's a low, making lower lows. So that's a downtrend. But look at the recent price action. It's not moving down, it's moving up or over to the right. So dysfunctional downtrend, bullish, up over the 200 SMA. I like that. T2123, 3-bar chart. Let's take a look at Stinker on the 15. Stinker, let's take a look at the price action here. Again, another bullish. See daylight right there? Got bullish gap up. You can see highs, higher high, even higher high. Uptrend right there. You're up over the 200 SMA right here on the 15-minute chart. See us up over that hooking 200. That's where you want to be if you're a bull. You're up over the pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, and you're in an uptrend. All right, so currently, we'll see if we're bullish. I'll measure out all that I can get. Currently, bullish and in an uptrend on the 15-minute chart. Okay, bullish and in an uptrend on the 15. On the daily, not the same. Neutral and in an uptrend. Okay, neutral and an uptrend on the daily. On the 15, bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, so there's FNGU. Let's take a look at the economic calendar. Not much going on in the economic calendar, but there is some earnings. The banks are kicking off a new wave of earnings. Right now, Max Payne is 696, put to call ratio 1.6 puts for each call that expires today at 4:15. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15. As far as economic calendar goes, we're on, I think we're on Thursday, right? I want to make sure. Yep, we're on Thursday. All right, so for today, we got jobless claims coming out at 8:30. That'll provide a little bit of volatility. Philly Fed Manufacturing Index also at 8:30. I don't see any delayed reports, so I'm not sure if the shutdown is over or if they've got everything solved or what's going on. Philly Fed Manufacturing 8:30. We've got industrial production 9:15. Natural gas inventories and status at 10:30. And no beige book. Yeah, beige book was yesterday at 2 p.m. And that's it. For tomorrow, you can see really nothing scheduled. All right. So whatever's happened all this week could possibly just continue, unless, of course, somebody comes in and gives us bad earnings. So let's take a look at some of the earnings that are going to be posted today. We got Taiwan Semiconductor, about $2 trillion right there. That's a whole lot of chips, all right, microchips, all right. So that's $2 trillion. There'll be all eyes on that. Tech has been the tip of the spear for this pullback rally, and which provided us with new all-time highs, okay. And now we're getting financials. Transports are looking good, so we could see some even higher all-time highs. We'll see. So tech right here, $2 trillion. They're going to report this morning. Netflix, $500 billion. They're going to report tonight. PepsiCo, that would be consumer staples, if you want to call it that. $212 billion. Abbott Labs, $175 billion. Charles Schwab, 170, some financials right there. $170 billion. Prologis, $128 billion. Bank of New York Mellon, $89 billion. Okay, so all eyes going to be on Netflix, all right, which is that software communications right there, and Taiwan Semiconductor. Okay, so these two will be the headliners. All right, let's take a look at the XLF. All right, because we're having so many financials report this week. All right, so it would be good to know where the financials are at. So let's start off with the XLF. All right, and you can see this is 2025. Remember, this is the origin of our rally here, okay, on April, okay, back in 2025, which produced new all-time highs for the XLF. You can see the XLF kind of like fell back down here to the midpoint. You see they've climbed back in recently to the upper third. Okay, that's bullish. Remains to be seen if they can hold it in there. Okay, they haven't made any higher highs. That's the first high they come to. All right there. So they're still in that dysfunctional downtrend on the XLF. Let's take a look at the KRE. And let's put some quad lines in there to include the April. The KRE is looking much better. This would be our regional banks. All right. KRE is up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Still in that dysfunctional downtrend, just like XLF. Again, has not made any higher highs. We are building a bull flag right here, so it may happen soon. They may negate the downtrend and convert the uptrend. Right now, dysfunctional downtrend in that they're not moving down, they're moving up. Back to XLF. Okay, you can see they're just barely making it into the bullish upper third. Okay, got to take out that high right there. Then they could have themselves an uptrend right there if they take out that high. Okay, we'll see what happens, all right? So I just wanted to point that out because a lot of the financials reporting this week, and we'll be looking for them to make new highs and negate that downtrend that they're in. All right, so let's take a look at tomorrow, Friday. All right, whole lot of financials reporting tomorrow. Okay, HDFC, ICICI, Truist Financial, Fifth Third, State Street, which is kind of investment, Regionals Financial, Ally. Okay, a lot of financials reporting tomorrow, so we'll see what happens with that. Of course, KRE is already looking good. All right, so a lot of these are going to fall into the column of the KRE. All right, and of course they might be double billed. Some might be in XLF as well as KRE. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyways, KRE is looking good. All right, still not in an uptrend. XLF is looking good with that bull flag. Still not in an uptrend though. Okay, so both are bullish. But still not in uptrends, dysfunctional downtrends for both of those. All right, so we'll be watching those. You know, in order to have a nice, robust rally, you're going to want the financials. You're going to want the chip stocks. That's the SMH. All right, or the XL, or the XL. I think it's the XLK, is it? Technology. XLK. Yeah, technology. Yeah, you want the XLK, all right, and then you want the transports. That's the IYT. IYT bullish, no uptrend yet. They could have no uptrend yet. Okay, dysfunctional downtrend just like XLF. Okay, that's IYT. All right, XLK. Okay, you got a lot high. That's a higher high. So right there you can see they're in an uptrend. They made it yesterday, taking out, well, they actually had this high they could have taken out. So XLK has been in an uptrend. All right, XLK bullish and in an uptrend. Back up here to the all-time highs on XLK. Like I said, it all starts with technology. Look how far technology has come compared to XLF, which seems to be dragging its heels. All right, and then you got IYT. Okay, a little bit ahead of XLF. All right, so there's that. All right, let's go look at the game plans. All right, and we'll start off with SPY. All right. Pivot 696.35. All right. I'm going to go to the 30-minute chart just here so you can see. Here is the PPO. Market's making new highs. PPO is not. So we have a little bit of bearish divergence. That doesn't mean the correction comes today. It could come today, all right? Is one lingering, all right? There'll be a lot of energy being built up there, okay? So we'll see. We may get the pullback today. I don't know, all right? But we do have bearish divergence in that there's a high, and on 30-minute chart, we're not showing higher highs on the PPO. So we got ourselves a little bit of bearish divergence, something to be aware of. All right, that we could see pullback at any time. Not to say it's going to happen, but I'm just saying they could keep grinding higher today. Just saying, there's a possibility that may happen. All right, so pivot 696.35. All right, again, above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. Red erases green under 692.50, so right underneath this valley, that shallow valley right there. All right, I want to be a bear for this 10-minute downtrend. Green erases red over 730. Okay, so up over that. All right, 10-minute uptrend. Want to be a part of that. If it's up over 730. Okay, I like 1DT and 8DT. I like Friday options on the multiple of 5. Okay, I like them because they got a lot of open interest, and they got a nice tight bid-ask spread, and I like that because I don't want a lot of slippage. All right, if I'm going to get stopped out, and I don't want to have to go chase price too far if I want to get into a position. All right, I like a nice couple penny spread. That's at most. All right, that's what I like. I like strikes at the money at this time. All right, currently we're having $9 and $10 and $12 moves. All right, and we're paying for we got a 10-day ATR of like $8 to $9. All right, so you're paying for the volatility in your options of an $8 to $9 move, all right, and sometimes when you only get a $3 or a $4 move, all right, you're overpaying in your options. So for that reason, I'm going to want as close to penny for penny performance as I can get, as I can afford, all right? Remember, I have a limited amount of risk. So for that reason, I'm choosing strikes at the money, all right? I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, all right? Let's take a look at the pre-market, and I'll see what I can extrapolate from this, all right? Got a little bit of consolidation here over prior consolidation. That's a bullish environment, but, all right, I'm just going to say but, most of this consolidation, which is looking good, but if you look at the price action, the gap between the 3 and the 8 is very crowded, all right? It's a lot of, that's a 15-minute. We go to the 10. A lot of crowding going on. In other words, there's no daylight in there. In other words, it's kind of filled with candle bodies and candle tails, all right? So, which kind of says to me that a rollover or a pullback, excuse me, not a rollover, just a pullback, all right, is around the corner. For that reason, I'd probably trade bullish put spreads because we have a bullish environment. I trade the bullish put spreads where I would just shut down the short side of the bullish put credit spread, shut down the short side, and let the long side ride. All right? That's kind of my plan for today. Only because I think we're kind of nearing a pullback area based on all of the crowding going on inside these 10-minute uptrends, okay? So we'll see. I can still participate on the upside with the bullish put spread, but if things roll over, all I got to do is shut down the short side, all right, and then let the long side ride, all right? That's my plan this morning, all right, because I think a pullback is imminent based on the crowding inside the 10-minute trends and the PPO showing bearish divergence. So we may pull back to the pivot. All right. So again, if that 10-minute downtrend happens to originate up here, I'm not afraid of trading it. I'd like to see it below VWAP. Currently, price is riding on top of VWAP. Okay, but if we get underneath here, start breaking these pre-market, post-market lows, I'll definitely be looking for some puts underneath that. All right, but until then, we're bullish, so I'm going to use that put spread, kind of like a protective rise right there. That's my plan for today. All right, I'll see you guys in about 30, 40 minutes, all right? And we'll open up the markets together. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, everybody, for providing jobless claims, the economic data. Thank you, Ed. Thank you for the jobs claims, Alan. Thank you for everybody that provides the gamma exposure, especially like that. I will see you guys in about 30, 40 minutes. We'll open up the markets together. Thank you, traders.